We have a quorum. Today we're hearing Senate Joint Resolution 71 and Senate Bill 1296. Please make sure you fill out a witness form when you're testifying. Senator O'Loughlin, whenever you're ready, please proceed.
Good morning. Good morning, Senators. Senate Bill 1296 is dealing with the conveyance of two areas of property in Kirksville in Adair County. We previously passed legislation in House Bill 1606 dealing with the same conveyances, but the court struck down the titles that were associated with the conveyance. So this bill authorizes the Commissioner of Administration and the Attorney General to deal with the terms of the conveyance and with the instruments of them so that we can bring them into compliance with the court. And the legal descriptions for both the properties subject to conveyance are within the bill, enumerated in the bill.
Any questions for the senator? Seeing none. Anybody testify in favor? Please come forward. Anybody testify against? Anybody for informational purposes only? Seeing none, thank you, Senator. What? Yeah. Okay, I move we enter executive session. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. We're in executive session. Senate Bill 830 is Senator Rowden's bill that deals with requires the Department of Health and Senior Services to develop a pamphlet on non-opioid alternatives. What? I move that Senate Bill 830 be brought before the committee. Do I have a second? I have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. No? The ayes have it. The bill's before the committee. Is there any discussion on that bill? Seeing none, I move that Senate Bill 830 be voted do pass. Do I have a second? I have a second. Kenny, please call the roll to vote out Senate Bill 830 out of committee do pass.
Bernskoetter.
Aye.
Searfoy. Beck. Black. Bratton. Huff. Razor. 5-0.
By your vote of 5-0, the motion carries. Senate Bill 844 is my bill on requiring any amount paid on behalf of a health benefit plan enrollee to count toward the enrollee's cost sharing. I move that Senate Bill 844 be brought before the committee. Do I have a second? I have a second. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. The bill is before the committee. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I move that Senate Bill 844 be voted do pass. Do I have a second? I have a second. Kenny, please call the roll to vote out Senate Bill 844 out of committee do pass.
Bernskoetter.
Aye.
Searfoy. Beck.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just going to let you know, and I already had this conversation with you. This bill, I think, needs some work. It's got some hidden costs for plans and could skyrocket a lot of the group health plans. So I'm going to vote present at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Black. Bratton. Huff. Razor.
So by your vote of 4 yes, 1 present, that motion also carries. And Senate Bill 844 is my bill that modifies provisions relating to unemployment benefits. I move that Senate Bill 844 be brought before the committee. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The bill is before the committee. Is there any discussion? I move that Senate Bill 845 be voted out of committee do pass. Do I have a second? I have a second. Kenny, please call the roll to vote out Senate Bill 845 out of committee do pass.
Bernskoetter.
Aye.
Searfoy. Beck.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Rusty Black. I represent Senate District 12. Senate Joint Resolution 71 states upon voter approval that the administration of justice shall include levying costs and fees to support salaries and benefits for state and county law enforcement personnel whose duties are reasonably related to the operation of the criminal and civil justice system, including sheriffs, former sheriffs, prosecuting attorneys, former prosecuting attorneys, circuit attorneys, and former circuit attorneys. This joint resolution is a fix from a Supreme Court ruling last year that stated it was illegal to collect court fees to fund the Sheriff's Retirement Fund. By classifying costs and fees to support salaries and benefits for the state and county law enforcement personnel, including sheriffs and former sheriffs. SJR71 would allow that 71 would allow that $3 court fee to be used to fund the Sheriff's Retirement Fund the same way it's been funded since 1980. We've heard this last year as well, so I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I know there's people at least here in support behind me.
Thank you, Senator. Any questions? Seeing none. Anybody testify in favor, please come forward and fill out a witness form.
Members of the
State your name, address, and phone number. Go ahead.
Thank you, members of the committee. My name is Adam Warren, and I am from Chillicothe, Missouri. My address is at the courthouse is 700 Webster because I'm the elected prosecuting attorney. I'm here today because I am also the chair of PACARS, the 5-member board that runs the retirement fund for all prosecuting attorneys, retired prosecuting attorneys for the state. I'm here in favor of this bill because right now there is an issue with the prosecutor system. We also receive a fee that was made by law by this Senate body and by the state of Missouri, and that fee has been determined to be unconstitutional by a circuit judge in Jackson County. That happened last fall, and it was based on the same decision that the sheriff's fee was struck down in by the Supreme Court. So right now the fund sits at about 70% funded and is holding its own. It will hold its own until far beyond where I've projected. However, since that $4 fee was stripped from the prosecutors, our fund is now in trouble, and it will slowly circle the drain, and in 20 years, when it's my time to retire, there'll be no money left. We've projected that, and so there is a current crisis today that can be solved today by you voting for this bill. The law of the land is that those who are associated with the administration of justice can in fact receive fees. That's what even the Supreme Court says. So what this, and you know, you wrote it, what it does is that it basically lets the people determine that yes, sheriffs who show up at every court case and who run security and who serve process, and prosecutors who bring every criminal case there is, we don't have private prosecution in Missouri, are allowed a fee in a small amount per case. And that is only on cases that are successfully prosecuted. We don't take a fee unless there is a guilty plea or a finding of guilt. And even in cases where there is indigency claimed, judges can waive that fee. In fact, they do waive those fees, and they waive their own fees. And so right now we are asking for your support in this as the PACARS board and as the retirement for about 125 people who are currently retired, and hoping that this fund lasts longer than their life does. And with that, I would yield any
Thank
questions.
you. Any questions? Senator Serpore, go ahead.
Thank you, I appreciate it. I'm just curious, so this is in answer to a court ruling that ruled that the fees sustaining a retirement fund are not legal.
A specific fund, the sheriff's fund,
Right,
that is correct.
right.
And they wrote in their analysis that they would like to see administration of justice be the catchword that determines whether or not a fee is lawful.
Okay.
And so this just in the Constitution says, yes, these people who deal with the administration of justice, we find that that's what they do for a living.
And that's why it says the former on all three of those categories, the former employees, because it's for a pension fund. But what I don't understand, it says personnel whose duties are reasonably related to the operation of criminal and civil justice, which in 20 years could be an enormous pool of different things to fund. Why don't we draw this a lot tighter?
Well, it's my understanding that the House did draw a little tighter, that their version struck a few words. So it was specific just to prosecuting attorneys and sheriff's funds. How it's done is not really something that's within my purview as far as drafting bills. I've never done that.
Okay.
I know that there's discussion about the language, though, and we would welcome any fix.
Okay, I just know that if we put this in the Constitution, the way the place works, we'll be adding all kinds of stuff that are reasonably related, it seems. And that just kind of concerns me. But thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Senator.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony.
Thank you,
Anybody
Mr.
else
Chair.
in favor, please come forward.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Melissa Lortz. I'm the Executive Director for the Missouri Sheriff's Retirement Fund. This bill came before you last year without the prosecuting attorneys and the city attorneys attached to it. So that's the only difference. We did hear the same concerns that the senator had in the House about the legislation not being tight enough, or the resolution. So there is a House committee substitute that was voted out of committee yesterday that we're fine with. But we do need this fix to overrule the court ruling for the Supreme Court. We have 195 people currently receiving benefits from our pension plan. We have 22 already vested, and we have 114 currently active sheriffs that are working towards this retirement that we need to fund. If we cannot get our $3 fee back, the 5% that we added last year in legislation, which started in January for their contribution, will not sustain the fund for the rest of everybody's life. So we are hoping that we can have our $3 fee back and our fund will be whole again.
So can you elaborate on the changes that were made?
Yes, they removed the other personnel, so it now just says the administration.
We removed the prosecuting attorneys.
Well, no, so it said, they took out the section that says, it says levying cost fees to support salaries and benefits for sheriffs, former sheriffs, prosecuting attorney. It takes out that whole long thing where it says state and county, local and law enforcement personnel whose duties are. It specifically says just those 3 job titles.
Does that make you happy?
I'll look at it.
Okay, he wants to look at it.
Okay.
He likes to read the bills before we pass them. Any questions for this witness? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else testify in favor, please come forward.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Dwayne Carey, Boone County Sheriff. I also sit on the Missouri Sheriff's Retirement Board. So I've got a long spill, I've got a short spill. You guys are familiar with this, so I'm going to give you the short one. The perspective from the sheriff is, one, my top priority are those folks that are already retired or the sheriffs that have passed and their widows are relying on this money. Fixed income, they don't have an opportunity to go back to work, so I think about my predecessor and all the other predecessors that went before the current sheriff. So that's a top priority for me for a sheriff being on the Sheriff's Retirement Board. Also, selfishly, right, I'm a 5th-term sheriff. I've got 34 years in with this agency, 20 as sheriff, and if the voters will have me, I'm going to do another term. So at this point, and the prosecutor talked about 20 years for the prosecutors, the sheriff's is like 10 years or less. So there's no way that when I reach the end of my career that there's going to be any money left. And so I am a Surf County sheriff. And so it's different, as you guys know, from the Loggers County sheriff. The Surf County sheriff, the way the statute's written, when I took office in 2005, my surf froze, and so I am just really relying on this sheriff's retirement. And so with that running out, ultimately I'll just work until the voters tell me you got to go do something else, and then I'll mow grass or whatever, because I won't have that retirement in place. If I would have known that, then obviously I would have done something a little different with my portfolio, but you're relying on what you believe is a guaranteed pension. So I speak for myself. I'm crying on your shoulder for myself, and I'm crying on your shoulder for all the sheriffs and prosecutors that are going to be without this money. And then I think the last point that I'll make is when you think about the future of these two offices, my job as the sheriff is to succession plan for the citizens of Boone County and for my agency. And so I am preparing people to fill my shoes when I decide I'm not going to run. The issue is, if there's no retirement in place, I'm going to have a hard time finding somebody that's going to be interested in taking this job without a retirement. The prosecutor is going to have the same problem when you look at private practice and what you could make. And so it is imperative for us to get this taken care of. We think it's a great session to do it in and a great election year to do it in. And so we would appreciate your support, and I'll take any questions that you have.
Think somebody might use this for an election campaign or something?
I'm
Any
hoping to be
questions?
unopposed.
Senator Beck has a real question. Go ahead.
I do have a real question. So, and you might not be able to answer it, but how many other states do it this way, where they use court costs to fund pensions of our public servants instead of taxing folks or doing whatever? It's being a part of the job, being a part of the salary that you get.
I can't answer it. I apologize. I don't have the answer to that as far as how many states.
I mean, it seems like a weird system. It seems like a weird way to do something to me.
Yeah,
And I know we've done it that way forever.
And again, I know a little bit of the brief history, but your predecessors in 1983 actually passed this out. The sheriffs wanted to go on their own, away from all the other county elected officials. So from 83 to 1994, when SURF came about, the sheriffs were just on a separate island themselves. And so when SURF came about, the sheriffs elected, hey, we're going to stay on our island. We don't want to be part of the County Employment Retirement Fund. Now, there's some sheriffs that are loggers members, and so they're getting their loggers, and we addressed a little bit of that last session with future sheriffs that were in loggers are going to have to basically freeze that loggers and then move forward just with the sheriff's retirement. So we addressed that a little bit last session, if you're familiar with that at all.
Hey, I'm on joint pensions or whatever, so I mean I'm familiar with those.
So the problem lies with the current sheriffs that are loggers are in pretty good shape, right? Their multiplier is still accumulating. The SURF sheriffs are not, and so there's no multiplier for us. I mean, mine's been frozen since I took office in 2005. So I think ultimately the issue was we went out on this branch back in 1983, and the legislature passed that. Everything was all good until the Supreme Court ruling in 2021, which decided that, hey, you can't do this, and so now we're trying to get it fixed.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Just a quick comment. Didn't we put, if memory serves me, about $5 million in the budget last year to help shore this up?
2.5.
2.5? Okay.
And we were very appreciative of
Yeah,
that.
and so this is essentially to address the ongoing
Long-term fix.
long-term moving forward. Okay, and I see Gunner C in the back. Appreciate him being here today. And the comment you made about succession planning in Boone County, the sheriff in Boone County, thank you for that. That's something that Senator Rowden hasn't done a very good job of, in his role. But appreciate you being here.
All right. Thank you, Senator.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, anybody else? Gunner, are you going to testify? Gunner's not testifying. Anybody else want to testify in favor? Anybody want to testify in opposition to Senator Black's resolution? I don't see anybody. Anybody from what? Can? No, I don't think you can. Anybody for informational purposes only? Seeing none, thank you, Senator Black. Seeing no business before the committee, I move that we adjourn.
Senator, one quick motion. Just vote for the Senate committee sub that we have ready with that language fixed. You won't need to read it, Senator. You can trust me.
We all trust everybody. All right. I move that we adjourn. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. We're adjourned.